Hey folks, Tony Lockhart here. We got a beautiful Sunday morning, April 7th, 2019, and we've got a kiln opening. Let's go have a look. All right, so let's get started. The current temperature is 73 degrees Fahrenheit, and on the controller it's saying I did an 8-hour, 48-minute fire. So I'm gonna pop open the lid. All right, so here we go. Let's start unloading. Got a bunch of these thumb cups. These are done in speckled buff with a colonial white glaze. So what I did is kind of made a little dent inside the cup, so it's a little bit easier to grasp. I found like sometimes the glaze is so slick that you almost want to drop the cup. Okay, here's a good comparison. Got a thumb cup with Moroccan Sand and a thumb cup in speckled buff. But like, notice the differences in the two glazes with how the speckles show up and not, and what the white looks like. You can see what the two bottoms of the cup look like. So they show the difference in the clay bodies. Here's a commission that I took from a friend. She wants like a nice utensil cup. So this big heavy guy, it's probably like 4 pounds. So here's some Aqua speckled buff thumb cups. Gorgeous color. My favorite part of this combination is how there's like a toasty orange and how the blue glaze starts to turn a little yellow at the bottom. Here's a good one. This really shows how the yellow shows up. Some more thumb cups. This one's a little bit taller. Now here's some Moroccan Sand with a different type of blue. So this is called Castile Blue. It's very thick, very heavy glaze, not very transparent at all, very glossy. Just looks real pretty. Here's our speckled buff. So this is called a tumbler. It's basically a cylinder that's kind of fixed up just a bit. It's another tumbler with the yellow on top of the speckled buff. It's another thumb cup with that speckled buff. It's another Moroccan Sand. You can see there's a texture across the edge. Those are called throwing marks. It's really nice. Had a little bit of extra B-mix glaze. So what I did was I just made one of these little stemless wine goblets. My wife and I, we have quite a collection of these guys. We don't have one of these in school bus yellow, so looks pretty good. Right, it's our last tumbler. It's a nice utility cup. This is called Pink Ice, and it's over that speckled buff. Again, you get that nice little burning of the clay right at the transition between the glaze and the regular clay body. Okay, so let's move on to the second shelf. So here are the kiln posts. Got to take these guys out. They're really dense, heavy pieces of rock. Do a good job of holding up the kiln shelf. So made a couple of these little tiny mugs. It's a friend who commissioned them, my wife's friend. So she's doing like an Easter thing. So she wants to get a couple of these little tiny pink ones. Got some more of these little tiny kid mugs in yellow. I could just imagine little hands grasping these. My kids love using these types of mugs. It's like a nice Aqua. It's another Aqua. It's a chive green. A little bit of crawling right there. Wow. There's another chive green. and a little bit of crawling. Still functional, works just fine, but you know, it's definitely a focal point. Here's a Castile Blue. Goodness, a gorgeous color. There's another Castile Blue. A little bit of exposed clay at the bottom. And got a nice purple. This is called Hyacinth. These are all Laguna clay, Laguna glazes. Look at that. Nice drippage at the bottom. Gorgeous. Okay, so we're done with these guys. So I had a little bit of black clay left over. So just decided to make one of these utility cups. Here's a speckled buff. Little tiny vessel. I need to throw a lid for this guy. Yeah, it looks real pretty. Nice lidded jar. A little bit of drippage right there. Definitely something you can't plan for, but it's nice when that type of stuff shows up. It's another utility cup. It's amazing to see like what happens and how gravity affects a lot of these speckled materials that are inside. You can see there's a lot brighter and a lot more concentrated amount of glaze right there. And of course there's that burning and that yellow transition at the bottom. So pretty. Had a couple little scraps left over when I was throwing, so I just made these little tiny guys. Kind of basically threw it on the wheel, gave it a little pinch. Same type of thing. Kids really love these, so might as well. And then finally, oh my goodness, look at this guy. So my daughter asked me to make her a bird feeder. So essentially what I did is I made like a loop of clay and I hollowed out the bottom so there wouldn't be a base. And I kind of threw it in a way that it would be curved. And I punched 2 holes in it. So what I'll do is I'll loop some twine or some string so it'll kind of hang like this. And then we could put a little bit of bird seed at the bottom. I didn't want to put too much or to build anything. I like the idea that you could see right through it. Now in order to get this type of a sheen, what I did was I'm using a Laguna beam mix, and then after that I dipped it in the Aqua Atlantis. And then right at the end, I just dipped the top part of it in that yellow. So just look at that. Oh my goodness. Such an amazing transition in color. Jeez. So my daughter will be super happy to see this when she shows up today. So here's the last thing from this shelf. It's called the Parametric Cone. So basically this is, you know, a piece of clay material / glass material, and you know what you want to do is rely on the temperature and the thermocouple, so it tells you how hot it is inside the kiln, but you also want to make sure that one of these engineered things falls over in the same manner. And when it does fall over, then you know, at least on this shelf, that the wares reached a certain amount of time and temperature, so you know that they're mature. I like to use these to make sure that the glazes are good before I decide to sell any of these items. All right, so 3rd shelf, closer to the bottom. Handful of goodies. So got a couple more of these thumb cups and speckled buff, and I've got a couple mugs done in speckled buff as well. Pretty nice sized coffee mug. There's a mug in Aqua. Another mug in Aqua. little bit of a thumb rest right here. I find it just feels really comfortable to kind of grasp onto it. Cup is actually really light. I don't think there's any need for one of these, but it just feels good. Just like the way it feels. There's another one, an Aqua. Nice big one in Aqua. Got a rounded off belly, so we got a lot more volume. It's a little bit taller than some of the other ones. Also got a little thumb rest right on top. This will actually come in handy. Okay, so we've got a B3 brown, so it's a dark clay. You can see that it's kind of black at the bottom. A little bit of crawling right here at the top, but this is done in the colonial white. It's another B3. A nice little thumb rest right there. Glaze is really not behaving the way I want it to. You can see with the thicker application, it's not as glossy. A little bit of crawling right there. It's too bad. It's a nice cup. Another B3. Little thumb rest right there. A little bit of pinhole at the bottom center. A little bit right there. A little bit of bubbling in the corner. So yeah, this is not going to be sellable. Okay, so here's a B3 with Aqua on top. It's definitely turned out just the way I wanted it to. Fortunately, big old S crack at the bottom. I use this as a pencil cup. Yeah, it looks real pretty. Here are a couple of other B3s that did come out really nicely. Goodness, look at that. Just gorgeous. Another pretty wide. This might be good as, it's a little too tall to be like a latte cup, but it's still pretty nice. This gorgeous pooling of the blue way at the bottom. Really nice. There's another B3 with the Aqua Atlantis. Very bright blue on the inside. I don't know if the camera's picking that up. There's a couple Speckled buff mugs. There's a thumb cup in yellow. And just a couple of like little fun pots. So what I wanted to do is to see what would happen to the Hyacinth, or that purple, when it was on top of the Speckled buff. And I kind of dropped this, so some of the glaze scratched off just a bit, but I actually didn't mind because I wanted to see like what would it look like. So maybe this can be like a toothpick cup or something that I have, you know, in the house. You can see right here it's a very thin application of the glaze, but the purple itself looks pretty fantastic. In fact, this looks much more purple to the naked eye than it does when it's on top of the B-mix clay. I don't know if the camera can pick that up. It's just gorgeous on the inside. Wow. And then finally, here's just like a last one. It's a little bit of Moroccan sand that was left over. A little flower pot. And I have the Castile Blue, real tiny little guy. Actually scratched my name into the bottom. Probably just keep that one. All right, so here we are at the last shelf. I'll take these kiln posts out. These are some pint glasses, and these are done, one with a thumb and the other without a thumb, but these are done with the Speckled buff. Nice wide opening at the top. taller thumb cup. This tall one as well. These are probably close to a pint as well. More speckled buff. Got tons of these guys. So I've got this shop update that's going to happen. This will be in late April, so it'll be nice to have all these things and to make them available for sale. I'll be at the Artisan's Alley, good old South Pasadena. Okay, so here's like a nice cup without the thumb rest. Tapered at the bottom, flared at the top. Really like this one a lot. See, the tough part about this is you want to keep all of them. Just so utilitarian, so nice. Something just beautiful to look at, also functional. Okay, so here are a couple of tumblers. This guy turned out a little too wide. So even though I've got pretty big hands, it still is a little wide. Might be too heavy to grasp. When it's filled with ice and some kind of a liquid. Alright, so that's it for the speckled buff. Let's move on. So got some Moroccan Sand, the thumb cup. It's a nice one. Super light, like this. Probably sell this. Been noticing that when I throw the Moroccan Sand, it's a lot heavier, so I'm not thinning it out as much as I should. So it just doesn't feel right sometimes. Maybe use this as a planter. I'll drill a hole in the bottom or something. Again, a couple more Moroccan Sand thumb cups. Another Moroccan Sand thumb cup. This is a pint glass. And it's a Moroccan Sand with the Castile Blue on top. So this is a pint glass as well. Here's a B-Mix thumb cup. That's a pint glass. Here's another one. It's Moroccan Sand. Pint glass with the thumb rest on the inside. Okay, got a nice B-Mix, another B-Mix. Real pretty. Couple Aqua over B-Mix with the thumb rest. Pint glasses again. Yeah, that's real pretty. Super bright. Finally, the last one. Made this one for the wife. A little bit of B3 left over. So there's our pint glass. Got our thumb rest and a white interior with the aqua on the outside. So that's actually looking good. The white, that's what I wanted it to look like on the B3. Too stark of a contrast with the interior and exterior, so that's why I wouldn't sell these, but it's still a really pretty glaze on the outside. Goodness. All right, kiln opening. First one in April 2019. Not too shabby. All right, so super successful kiln opening. Thanks for taking the time to watch. All of this stuff's going to be on sale at the Artisan's Alley at the South Pasadena Eclectic Music Festival. Hope to see you there. Thanks. Bye-bye.